Have you ever looked at the clock and felt something deep inside you whisper, "Where did all that time go?" Maybe you were sitting on your bed, phone in your hand, scrolling through videos, and suddenly you noticed it was already midnight. You told yourself you would just check for 5 minutes, but somehow, an hour disappeared. You smile for a second, maybe laugh at yourself, but then silence. A strange, quiet thought comes into your mind. How many hours, how many days, have I already lost like this? It's not just about the time. It's about something deeper. Every time you delay, every time you say, "I'll do it later," you're not just losing minutes, you're losing a piece of your story. When I was younger, I used to think time was endless. I thought there would always be another morning to begin, another week to try again, another chance to do better. But one day, I met someone who changed that belief forever. Her name was Anna. She was an ordinary girl, just like many of us, shy, gentle, full of dreams. She wanted to become fluent in English so she could travel, make friends around the world, and maybe one day work abroad. Every night, she made the same promise to herself: "Tomorrow I will study." But tomorrow never came. There was always something, a message, a call, a short video, a sudden feeling of tiredness. And little by little, the dream started to fade. She still wanted it, but wanting is easy. Doing is harder. One evening, I found her sitting in a quiet cafe, staring at her English notebook. The pages were almost empty. I could see she was thinking. She looked up and said, "Why is it so hard to start?" I didn't answer immediately, because I knew that question wasn't really about English. It was about life. We wait for the perfect time. We wait until we feel ready. But the truth is, time doesn't wait. It doesn't stop for anyone. So, I asked her a question back. "Anna," I said softly, "how long do you think 1 hour really is?" She smiled, confused. 60 minutes? "Yes," I said. "But for some people, 60 minutes can change a life. For others, it disappears like smoke." She didn't understand then. But she would soon. That night, she decided to try something different. Instead of studying for hours, she studied for 10 minutes. Just 10. She listened to one short English story. She repeated the sentences slowly, carefully. She didn't worry about mistakes. She just listened and spoke, again and again. And something beautiful happened. For the first time, she didn't feel lazy or scared. She felt proud. You see, fluency doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with presence, with showing up. As the days passed, Anna began to feel a change inside. Her voice became more confident. Her words flowed a little easier. Her fear began to melt away. But here's the thing, time still moved the same. The difference was, now she was moving with it. Sometimes, we think English is a difficult mountain. We look at others who speak fluently, and we feel small. But you don't have to climb the whole mountain today. You just need to take one step, one word, one sentence, one story. The truth is, you already have everything you need. You don't need perfect grammar to start. You don't need a big vocabulary. You just need to begin. And when you begin, even for 10 minutes, you tell time, "I am here. I am alive. I am not wasting you anymore." So let me ask you, what will you do with your next 10 minutes? Will you scroll again? Or will you listen, repeat, and learn something new? Because that small choice, that tiny moment, might be the one that changes everything. The next morning, Anna woke up early. It was quiet outside, the sky still gray from the night before. She sat near her window, holding her phone in one hand and her old English notebook in the other. For a few seconds, she just stared. She didn't know where to start. Have you ever felt that way? You want to change. You want to learn. But your mind feels heavy, like it's full of noise. You open a book, you scroll through videos, you search for best way to learn English, and suddenly you feel lost again. That's exactly how Anna felt. She wanted to become fluent, but everything online told her something different. Learn 1,000 words in a week. Watch English movies with subtitles. Don't translate, think in English. So many rules, so many voices. She took a deep breath and whispered to herself, I just want to understand. I just want to speak. So she made a decision, a small, simple one. She would stop chasing tricks and start listening. Not just with her ears, but with her heart. That day, she opened a short English story online. It was called The Little Blue Bird. It was about a tiny bird who was afraid to fly. At first, the bird tried to jump but fell again and again. But every time it fell, it learned something new about the wind, the trees, the sky. As Anna read, she smiled. She whispered the words slowly, like a child learning to speak again. She repeated each sentence. Her pronunciation wasn't perfect. Her th sounded like T. Her R was too soft, but that didn't matter. Because she was not learning English anymore. She was living it. She practiced for just 15 minutes. But those 15 minutes felt different from all the hours she wasted before. She wasn't forcing herself. She was feeling the language, the rhythm, the sound, the emotion behind the words. Later that day, she went to meet her friend Maria. Maria was from Spain, and her English was already good. When Anna spoke to her, she felt nervous. Her words came out slowly. She said, I am learn English every day now. Maria smiled kindly. You're learning English every day? Anna nodded. Yes. Only little time. But I try. Maria touched her shoulder and said something Anna never forgot. You don't need perfect English to speak. You need brave English. Those words stayed in her mind like a song, brave English. That night, Anna wrote it on a piece of paper and stuck it to her mirror. Don't try to be perfect. Try to be brave. Over the next few weeks, Anna started practicing differently. She didn't study big grammar books. She didn't try to memorize long lists of vocabulary. Instead, she listened to simple English every morning, stories, podcasts, even short YouTube videos. She repeated what she heard. She copied the speaker's rhythm, their tone, their emotion. She learned not only what to say, but how to say it. Sometimes, she recorded her own voice and listened back. It was strange at first. She didn't like how her voice sounded. She laughed, embarrassed. But the next day, she tried again. Every day, just 15 or 20 minutes. No pressure. No comparison. And slowly, something began to change. One morning, she noticed that English words were coming to her more easily. When she watched a video, she could understand a little more. When she heard a new word, it stayed in her mind longer. She didn't need to translate every sentence. Her brain was beginning to think in English. She smiled quietly to herself. It was working. But the real test was still waiting. One afternoon, Anna received a message from her boss. There would be a company meeting next week, and an international guest was coming. The boss said, Anna, can you help translate if needed? You're learning English, right? Her heart froze. She wanted to say yes, but fear took over. She had never spoken English in front of many people. Her hands started shaking. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her mind kept whispering, you'll make mistakes. They'll laugh. You're not ready. But then, she looked at the note on her mirror. Don't try to be perfect. Try to be brave. So she got up, opened her notebook, and began to practice. She repeated sentences like, Good afternoon, welcome to our company. Please have a seat. It's nice to meet you. She practiced again and again, until the words didn't sound foreign anymore. She wasn't preparing for perfection. She was preparing for courage. The day of the meeting arrived. Anna wore a white shirt and tried to smile. When the guest walked in, a man from England, her heart raced. Her boss looked at her and nodded. Anna took a deep breath. "Good afternoon. Welcome to our company," she said softly. The man smiled. "Thank you." Just 2 words. But in that moment, she felt something powerful: freedom. She had spoken English, clearly, confidently, without fear. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that's when she understood something most learners never realize. Fluency is not about speaking fast. It's about speaking without fear. Later that evening, as she walked home, she whispered to herself, "I can do this." And that whisper was the beginning of her transformation. Because every time you say, "I can," the world around you begins to believe it too. Every journey begins with excitement. At the start, everything feels new. You feel powerful. You imagine yourself speaking fluently, understanding every word, talking to anyone in the world. But then, life happens. Days get busy. Work gets hard. You come home tired. And slowly, that bright energy you felt begins to fade. That's what happened to Anna. At first, she was full of fire. She studied every day, listened to stories, practiced brave English. But after a few months, things changed. One week, her job became stressful. Her manager asked her to stay late almost every day. She came home exhausted, barely able to keep her eyes open. She told herself, "I'll just skip practice today." And one day became 2. 2 became 3. Then a week passed. Then 2. Her notebook began to collect dust on the table. The sticky note on her mirror, "Try to be brave," started to look faded and old. She told herself, "I'll get back to it when I have time." But deep down, she knew she was losing her rhythm. One night, she sat alone in her room, scrolling through her phone. She saw videos of people speaking English fluently, smiling, confident, successful. She felt something heavy inside. A quiet voice whispered, "Maybe I'm just not good enough." She looked at herself in the mirror, her tired eyes, her messy hair. "I worked so hard," she thought. "Why is it still so slow?" That's when she realized something important. Motivation is not always enough. Motivation starts the journey, but habit keeps it alive. So she asked herself one question: what if I don't wait to feel motivated? What if I just show up? The next morning, she did something small. She didn't plan to study for an hour. She didn't promise to change everything. She just sat down for 5 minutes. 5 quiet minutes. She opened her English audio file, a short story she liked. She closed her eyes and listened. Her mind wandered, but she stayed. After 5 minutes, she smiled and whispered, "Okay, I did it." It wasn't much, but it was enough to start again. And that's how it works. You don't need to move mountains. You just need to keep walking, even when the road is dark. Every day after that, Anna practiced for a few minutes. Sometimes 10, sometimes 15. She listened while brushing her teeth. She repeated sentences while cooking. She whispered English words while walking to work. She didn't make it perfect. She made it possible. And slowly, her confidence returned. Her pronunciation got smoother. Her rhythm felt more natural. She even started to dream in English sometimes, short, strange dreams, but still English. One morning, she laughed to herself. "I think I'm becoming friends with the language," she said softly. But life wasn't done testing her yet. One day, she received an email. A message from her company: "You've been selected for an interview with our international partner team." It was the opportunity she had dreamed about. A chance to work with people from other countries, to use English every day. But as she read the email, her hands began to shake again. "What if I fail?" she thought. "What if I forget my words?" Her heart started to race. All those old fears returned, the same fear from her first meeting. But this time, she remembered something different. She remembered the rain, the stories, the small moments of courage. She remembered the 5 minutes that changed her path. She whispered to herself, "Don't try to be perfect. Try to be brave." And that was enough to calm her heart. That week, she practiced speaking every evening. She recorded her voice answering common questions. "Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? Why do you want this position?" She listened to her recordings, corrected her sentences gently, and smiled at her progress. She wasn't perfect, but she was clear, calm, human. And the more she practiced, the more she realized something powerful. Fluency is not a goal at the end of the road. It's a way of walking every day. The night before the interview, Anna couldn't sleep. She felt nervous, but also proud. She looked at her old notebook, the one with empty pages, and began to write. She wrote a message to herself. "Dear Anna, you have already won. Because you kept going when it was hard. You spoke when you were scared. You showed up when you didn't feel ready. That is real fluency, not in words, but in courage." She closed the notebook, turned off the light, and whispered, "Tomorrow I'll speak. And I'll speak with heart." Because sometimes, the most fluent thing you can say is not in perfect grammar, but in the courage to keep speaking, even when your voice shakes. The sun was barely rising when Anna opened her eyes. Her alarm hadn't even rung yet. She had barely slept. Today was the day of her interview. She sat up slowly, her hands shaking just a little. Her heart was beating fast, but quietly, almost like it was whispering, "You can do this." She looked at the mirror again, the same mirror that once showed her fear, then courage, then hope. The same sticky note was still there. The words were a little faded now, but still clear. "Don't try to be perfect. Try to be brave." She smiled softly, touched the note, and whispered, "All right, brave it is." The company building was tall, glass shining in the morning light. As Anna walked through the doors, she felt small, but determined. The air inside was cool. She could hear faint voices, people greeting each other in English. She wanted to run away, but she kept walking. At the reception desk, she said quietly, "Good morning. I am here for the interview." The receptionist smiled. "Your name, please?" "Anna Peterson," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Please have a seat. They'll call you soon." Anna sat down. She could feel her hands sweating. She opened her notebook and looked at the sentences she had practiced. "Tell me about yourself. Why do you want this job?" She whispered the words again and again, like a quiet prayer. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, her name was called. She walked into the room. 3 people were sitting at a table, 2 local managers and 1 foreign partner from the UK. They smiled politely. "Good morning, Anna," one of them said. "Please have a seat." "Thank you," she replied, sitting carefully, trying to look calm. The man from the UK spoke first. "So, Anna, tell us a little bit about yourself." Her heart started to race. Her mouth felt dry. But she took a breath and remembered brave, not perfect. "My name is Anna Peterson," she began slowly. "I work in the marketing team. I like learning new things, especially languages. I study English every day because I want to speak better." Her voice shook slightly, but she continued. "I think English helps people connect. It makes the world smaller, kinder." The man smiled warmly. "That's a beautiful way to see it," he said. Her confidence grew a little. Then came the harder question. "Can you tell us about a time you faced a challenge at work and how you solved it?" Her mind went blank. She froze. For a few seconds, she couldn't find the words. Her eyes dropped to the table. She felt the familiar fear return, the same fear that once stopped her from speaking at all. The room was silent. She could hear her own heartbeat. Then, something inside her whispered again, "Don't stop now." She looked up, smiled nervously, and said, "Sorry. I am little nervous." They all smiled kindly. Then she continued slowly, "One time, my team had a big project. It was very difficult. But I talked with my friends, we worked together, and finally, we finished it. I learned communication is more important than being perfect. She paused. The words weren't perfect. The grammar was simple. But the message honest, clear, human. And that honesty filled the room with warmth. They asked her a few more questions. She answered each one slowly, carefully, using every bit of courage she had. Sometimes she made small mistakes. Sometimes she forgot a word and replaced it with another. But she didn't stop. She kept talking, smiling, breathing. At the end of the interview, the man from the UK stood up and said, "Anna, thank you. Your English is very natural. You speak with heart. That's what real communication is." Her eyes widened. She felt a warm wave rush through her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. When she left the room, she felt lighter than she had in months. She walked outside, the sunlight touching her face. For the first time, she wasn't thinking about grammar or pronunciation. She wasn't thinking about being perfect. She was thinking about how good it felt to speak. That night, she sat in her small room again, the same place where everything began. The notebook was still open on her desk. She smiled and wrote one sentence in big letters. "Today, I spoke English with courage." Then, just below it, she wrote something new. "Fluency is not how fast you speak. It's how true you sound when you do." But her story wasn't over yet. A few days later, an email arrived. Her heart skipped as she opened it. "Dear Anna, congratulations. We're happy to offer you the position. Welcome to the international team." For a moment, she just stared at the screen. Then tears filled her eyes, happy tears, quiet ones. She covered her mouth and whispered, "I did it." All those small steps, all those quiet moments, all those 5-minute sessions, they had brought her here. And in that single moment, Anna realized time was never her enemy. It was her teacher. Because time doesn't care if you move fast or slow. It only asks one question: are you moving at all? And now Anna finally was. The first morning at her new job felt like stepping into another world. Everything around her sounded different, faster, louder, brighter. People were speaking English everywhere. Emails, meetings, greetings, everything. Anna stood in front of the glass door with her new ID card in her hand. Her heart beat fast, but her smile was calm. She whispered to herself, "Just be brave. One word at a time." When she walked in, a cheerful voice called out, "Hey, you must be Anna. Welcome to the team." She turned and saw a tall woman with short blonde hair and bright eyes. "My name's Claire," the woman said, shaking her hand. "I'll help you settle in." Anna smiled nervously. "Thank you, Claire. I am very happy to be here." Claire laughed warmly. "Don't worry about English. Just relax. We'll help each other." Those words felt like sunshine. The next few days were full of new sounds and new challenges. In team meetings, people spoke fast, their words running together like music Anna couldn't quite follow. Sometimes she understood the meaning, but missed the details. Other times, she got lost completely. When that happened, she felt a familiar pain, the same feeling she had when she first began learning. A mix of shame, fear, and frustration. She wanted to speak perfectly. She wanted to sound like them. But every time she opened her mouth, her words came slowly, carefully, sometimes with little mistakes. One afternoon, during a meeting, her manager asked, "Anna, what do you think about the new campaign idea?" Everyone turned toward her. The room went silent. She froze for a second, searching for the right words. In her head, she heard the sentence in her language, but not in English. Then she remembered something. She didn't need to be perfect. She just needed to be brave. So she smiled slightly and said, "I think this idea is good. But maybe we can make the message more friendly, more simple, so everyone can understand easy." There was a short pause. Then the manager nodded and said, "That's a good point, Anna. Thank you." Her heart filled with light. She had done it again, not perfect, but real. That night, Anna thought deeply about the difference between knowing English and living English. Knowing English was when she studied grammar rules. Living English was when she used it, even when it scared her. Knowing English was reading from a textbook. Living English was talking to Claire about weekend plans. Knowing English was repeating words. Living English was laughing at a joke she finally understood. And she realized something powerful. Fluency wasn't just a skill. It was a relationship between her and the language. It needed time. It needed patience. It needed love. Weeks passed. Anna began to enjoy speaking. She made mistakes, but she didn't care anymore. She laughed with her coworkers, joined team lunches, and even started writing short English posts on the company chat. One day, her coworker Jason said, "Anna, your English is getting really good." She blushed and replied, "Thank you, but I think my English just feels happier now." He laughed. That's the best kind of English. But not every day was easy. There were still moments of doubt. Once, during a presentation, she forgot an important word. She froze again, the old fear returning. Her face turned red. Everyone waited. And then Claire smiled from across the room. Anna took a breath and said, "I forgot the English word, but it means, like, when people trust a company more because they see good things online." The manager replied, "Oh, you mean reputation?" Anna laughed. "Yes, that one." Everyone smiled. The tension disappeared. The meeting continued. Afterward, Claire said quietly, "See? That's communication. You didn't give up. You found another way." Anna nodded. It was true. Fluency isn't about never forgetting a word. It's about never forgetting your voice. That evening, as she walked home, the streets glowed with city lights. People were laughing, cars were passing, and English words floated all around her. It didn't feel foreign anymore. It felt alive. She looked up at the night sky and smiled. "This language," she whispered, "is not something I'm learning anymore. It's something I'm living." And that's when she understood another secret about time. Time gives everything meaning, but only if you use it. All those tiny minutes she once thought were wasted, the short practices, the small sentences, the brave moments, they had built something beautiful. Not just fluency. Confidence. Courage. Peace. When she reached home, she wrote one more line in her notebook. Fluency grows when you stop studying the language and start living with it. She closed the book slowly. There were no empty pages anymore. Every line was filled with stories, memories, and moments of courage. And as she turned off the light, she smiled. Because now she wasn't just learning English. She was becoming someone new, one word at a time. It was Friday morning. The sky was gray and the city looked sleepy. Anna sat at her desk, staring at her computer screen. Her company had just received an invitation, a big business meeting with an international client. The manager wanted someone from the marketing team to make a short presentation. And this time, he said Anna's name. "Anna, you've been doing amazing work. You'll present the new campaign to the client next Monday." Her heart stopped for a second. She smiled weakly. "Me? Yes," he said. "You've earned it." When he walked away, Anna felt a mix of joy and fear. She had dreamed of this moment. But now, she was terrified. All weekend, she practiced. She wrote her notes carefully, checked every sentence, every slide. She stood in front of her mirror and spoke again and again. "Good morning. My name is Anna. Today I will show you our new marketing campaign." But every time she made a small mistake, she stopped and sighed. No, that doesn't sound natural." She rewrote it, rehearsed again, and again, and again. By Sunday night, her throat was dry, her hands were shaking. She looked at her reflection in the window and whispered, "Why am I still scared? I've learned so much. Why do I still feel small?" Then she remembered an old memory. her teacher's voice from years ago. Don't fight your fear. Speak with it. Let it walk beside you. So she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She didn't try to be perfect anymore. She just promised herself to be present. Music shifts, gentle, cinematic strings. Monday morning arrived. The meeting room was bright with white walls and a long wooden table. The clients from London had just joined the video call. Her manager introduced her. This is Anna, our campaign lead. All eyes turned toward her. She smiled politely and began, "Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to meet you all." Her voice trembled slightly, but it was steady enough. She clicked the first slide. As she spoke, the English words flowed like water, not perfect, but clear. Sometimes she paused, searching for the right word. Sometimes her accent came through stronger. But she didn't stop. She remembered everything she had learned, how to breathe between sentences, how to connect words with emotion, how to look at people, not fear them. And slowly, she forgot about herself. She wasn't the girl learning English anymore. She was the woman sharing an idea. By the time she finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then someone said, "That was excellent, Anna." Another voice added, "Very clear and inspiring presentation." Her manager smiled proudly. Anna felt her heart grow light, not from pride, but from peace. She had done it. That evening, she walked home through the city again. The rain had stopped. The streets were shining with reflections of light. She stopped by a small cafe where she used to sit years ago, when she first arrived. Back then, she couldn't even order coffee in English without rehearsing the sentence first. Now, she walked up to the counter and said naturally, "Hi, can I get a cappuccino, please?" The barista smiled. "Of course." Coming right up. Anna smiled back, thinking, so simple. But how much it means. She sat near the window, watching people hurry past, and whispered, all those years. I wasn't just learning English. I was learning courage. Her phone buzzed. A message from Claire. "Congratulations, Anna. You were amazing today." She replied, "Thank you. I was nervous, but it felt different this time. Like I was just being me." Claire texted back, "That's the secret. Fluency isn't about speaking like a native. It's about speaking like yourself in another language." Anna stared at the message, her eyes shining. She typed slowly, "Yes. I think I finally understand that." She opened her notebook again, the one she started years ago. There were so many old words written on the pages: hope, courage, time, believe, speak, live. At the bottom of the last page, she wrote, "Every language is a new life. I was afraid to live it. But now I am alive in English." She closed the notebook gently. No tears this time. Just a calm smile. Outside, the city glowed softly, and time moved quietly, not as an enemy anymore, but as a friend. The next morning, she woke early and went for a walk by the river. The sky was painted pink with the first light of dawn. She looked at the water and thought about her journey, from fear to freedom, from silence to speech. And she realized, time never really disappears. It transforms into growth, into voice, into life. Every moment she once called wasted had been building her. Every mistake had been teaching her. Every pause had been preparing her. When Anna finally looked at the world through her new eyes, she understood something powerful. It wasn't about English anymore. It was about time. You see, time had always been there, waiting quietly. It didn't disappear when she felt lazy. It didn't punish her when she made mistakes. It was simply patient, waiting for her to wake up. And one day she did. That morning by the river, she smiled at the water and whispered, "I was never late. I just needed to begin." Now, maybe you're listening to this story right now with your headphones on a bus, or lying in your bed, or maybe sitting alone, thinking, I wish I could speak English like that. And I want you to pause for a second, just breathe. Because this story is also about you. Every time you listen, every time you repeat a sentence, every time you decide to learn one more word, you are changing. You may not see it yet, but your brain, your tongue, your confidence, they are growing quietly, like seeds under the soil. You don't need to be fast. You just need to be consistent. When Anna started, she wanted to sound perfect. She wanted to speak like a native. But perfection is a heavy word. It makes your heart tired before you even begin. So instead, she chose something lighter, progress. One story at a time. One mistake at a time. One small step each day. And step by step, she discovered something no textbook could teach. Fluency isn't a language skill. It's a life skill. It's the courage to express who you are in any language. So let me tell you this. Don't waste your time wishing you were better. Use your time becoming better. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Start with what you have. Because one small action today can change your entire tomorrow. If you can listen, you can learn. If you can speak, even a little, you can grow. If you can dream, you can do it. The clock is still ticking, but this time, it's not your enemy. It's your rhythm. Some people ask me, what's the fastest way to become fluent? And I always smile and say the fastest way is the slowest way done every day. Because when you slow down and really listen to the rhythm of English, to the feeling behind the words, to the sound of your own voice, you begin to live the language, not just learn it. And that's when everything changes. So now, my friend, the story passes to you. Maybe you're just beginning. Maybe you failed before. Maybe you feel too old, too busy, or too shy. But remember Anna's voice. Remember how she began, not with confidence, but with curiosity. Not with hours of study, but with 10 minutes of courage. And that's where you begin too. Not tomorrow. Not next week. But right now, this moment, this heartbeat, this breath. Say something in English. Even a small sentence. Say it softly to yourself. Because the moment you speak, you are no longer just a learner. You are a storyteller, someone brave enough to give voice to their thoughts in a new language. Time will keep moving. Days will turn into weeks. But when you look back, I hope you won't say, I wasted it. I hope you'll smile and say, I used it. I lived it. I learned. I spoke. I tried. And that's enough. More than enough. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how fast you became fluent. It's about how deeply you lived the journey. So take a deep breath, lift your head, and remember this simple truth. Don't waste your time waiting for the perfect moment. Make this moment perfect by using it. Now, close your eyes for a second. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, speaking clearly, confidently, freely. That version of you already exists inside you. All you need to do is begin.